Hey Janie, how are you? Nicola, how are you? Two of my oldest subscribers right there, going way back. How are you guys? How's your weekend? What's up, Jager? Wesley September? Record Girl, how are you? Nick Carroll, how are you, my friend? Sharon Williams, how are you? Brian Mons, early tonight. AG, how are you? SDL, Troy, how are you, my friend? I'm so glad that you are doing well, Jane. I don't want to talk to your puck wudgie, Brian Mons. That's a little filthy. Only if it's washed. Ew. Ew. What the fuck? Ew. It is cold. It is cold. Hollow, how are you this evening? Papa? Harry, how are you tonight? Michelle, good evening. Bandito, 175. Thank you, AG. One of my favorite bands, actually, out of Sacramento. Well, so there's a like a big, I don't know. There's a Christmas song. I don't know if any of you guys ever heard it, that the Deftones did with Grady from Willhaven and Far, and it's such a good song. Well, thank you, M1000. He's my best friend in real life. That's why it went so well, because we're not faking it. You know what I mean? Like, we are genuinely good friends. I have a ton of love for him. Shane, how are you? Flat, what's up? Charles, KHR, S. Cosmin. Brr, it is chilly out though. Tanya, how are you? Hang. Julie, how are you this evening? There's Jimmy. What's up, Mr. Haunted? How are you, my brother? Raz in the woods. Or is it Raza? Raza in the woods. Raza in the woods. Carol Hollenbeck is with us. Nice to see you. John Collins, how are you? I almost called you Joan by accident. Arabic! I am so glad we don't need freaking shovels for the next couple of days. They said we're going to get hit with snow. I think Wednesday, Christmas Eve, we're going to get snow up here. Delirium. Where is Delirium? I didn't see Delirium. Boo, boo, boo. There he is. How are you, Delirium? Just B. How was everyone's week? Good? I hope everyone's week was good. Cynthia? Got some really good Lizzo, the Lot Lizard stories for you. I bet you Chicago is cold. I am chilly right now, and it must be like 23 degrees outside. So, and I'm not a big fan of the cold, but whatever. My week was all right. DB Mac, how are you, buddy? Long week. Tigger had what are they called? Urinary tract stone. Not cool. Poor Tigger. Tigger. Just a dirty little boy. Um, and I don't know. Southern Charmer, how are you? I know. Poor Tig. He literally, he's not in here now, but all the last couple of days, no, for like the last week, he's been like right next to me. For some reason, he's not in here. Like prior to the live stream, I was in the kitchen eating quick, and he's like right there staring at me. I'm like, "What's up, buddy?" I haven't heard that, just in case. I will look into it after. I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest with you. Holy shit. Kakalina, how are you? Long time no see. Happy holiday season to you. Mikey, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Because I wanna I like to look into it. Well, Tigger's never peed outside of his litter box. He's a very good boy. Um, he's not neutered. Um, and he's always been like just a good cat about that. Uh, and the other day I went downstairs and I went into my studio downstairs and I'm like, fuck, why does it smell like a litter box down here? And so I walked around the whole downstairs. I went to the living room, the living room downstairs is Tigger's room. Bathroom, my tool room is closed. So, and then I went to the next open room that he could get to, which was where my chest freezer is. And there's just this puddle of pee there. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm not going to yell at him because when he came in, he like looked at me and I'm like, fuck, something's wrong with him. I'm like, no, I already said he does, Julie. UTI stoned. And so there was no brainer. Got to get him better. Got to get him better, you know? So Kathy, how are you? Yeah, it is. Ugh. Adam Condon, how are you, buddy? So, next thing I want to touch on my post, that post about Victor. So it was not. It wasn't aimed at any channel in particular. What it was aimed at were people who share an experience and then go on like a million channels. And then 2 years later, when everybody's heard their experience, they go and change their experience and then throw in government stuff that they heard on other people's channels or heard on, people talking and create a whole new narrative to their story. Like it's your experience. Your experience, like when people start changing their narrative on their experience, I don't believe them then. Like I have never my experience has been the same since it happened, like I don't even consider it that huge, but it'd be like next year, oh yeah, and as we were leaving the road, a government van came down and shot the Dogman. It's just I don't know. I just don't like people. I like you guys, but you guys aren't people. You guys are my family. Brian Mons, I bet you would be surprised if, and I'm not even going to say the name of the person. I'm not even going to say it on the live stream or out loud, but Oh no, Kakalina. My heart goes out to you, hon. I am so sorry. Damn. Hercules, how are you? Speaking of, it's been a bad week for cats. My cousin had to put her cat down this week. It's just been a bad week for cats, all in all. I am so sorry for you, Kakalina. That is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Snowman Dave, how are you, buddy? The hell was that? Just listening to the motor. I'm weird. Stan is Law Vallejo. How are you? Yeah, she's got she had this cat. Her cat was old. She's got a hairless cat too. Um which is getting old too. That's the worst thing about cats and pets. Pets in general, it's the worst thing. They get old. We get attached, they get old, and then and it just sucks because like we want them to be with us until we, like I don't know. It's fucking crazy. But that's part of love. It's part of love. Pups, how are you? Long time no see. So glad that you're here. We were talking about you last week. I did see that, Big Daddy. I did see that fight. Holy cow. That wasn't even a fight. That wasn't even a fight. That was just an ass kicking. One, freaking, he's way bigger than Jake Paul. And like every shot was just like point on, like bing, 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 just spot on, perfect shots, jaw broken. Did you see his face when he went down? He's like, yeah, your jaw's broke, but bro knew he'd been beat. Oh yeah, I like. Here's the thing. Lisa, how are you? Lisa Foy, how are you? Here's the thing about that though, and like him or not, like Jake Paul or not, I myself am not a fan, but I will say this: he got in the ring with an Olympic freaking gold medal winning boxer. Probably one of the best boxers in boxing right now. And for him to do that, just like he said, not Jake Paul, but just like Joshua said, it earned him a place in boxing. Like him or not, he did it. I wouldn't fucking go in there. He already fought Tyson. Snowman Dave. He fought Tyson last year. That was a fixed fight. 100%. Five Rings. What's up, buddy? Damage Incorporated. How are you? Kurt, how are you, my friend? Kurt Rollins. I don't know. I don't like him. I'm not a fan of him, but I did see a lot of heart. He got his ass kicked, which was beautiful. Beautiful. But like, I mean, I don't know. He held his own against Fury. I actually think he beat Fury. Even though he like the call was Fury won, but I didn't think Fury was that great. But enough of the YouTube boxer. He did, but watch the fight again. I think he won. That's just my own personal. I mean, if Tommy Fury was that good, it would have been all over, like he was proclaiming to be. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like last night. It was not like last night was just fucking precision. Like that was precision at its best. That'd be like the United States going to war with like Cuba. Bottom line. Anyway. Oh yeah, Dave. I already said it was a fixed fight about 10 minutes ago. Tyson even admits to it. He made a bank load. If you were Mike Tyson and as old as he was, wouldn't you do it? Shit, yeah. No, I don't know. Mike Tyson's legacy is fucking no. But we don't know where Mike Tyson's happenings are. Maybe he's a little low on money for the prostitutes and blow. Who knows? Exactly. That's what I just said. A little low on prostitute and blow money. He's got to do it. He's got to lose to Jake Paul. Tomorrow night, Mike Tyson's knocking at my door. What did you say about on your live stream, Jeff? Now I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Imagine. What's up, beautiful disaster? How are you? All right. A couple of years ago, I volunteered for a deckhand engineer position aboard a marine conservation vessel operating in the Gulf of California, aka the Sea of Cortez, Baja, Mexico. With the natural beauty, diverse wildlife, and awesome crew, it felt like I was in real-life Net Geo documentary. It was truly unforgettable experience. However, I saw and experienced some unusual things during my roughly 3 months at sea, starting with the orbs. Most, if not all, of the crew had seen or were at least aware of strange orange-yellow balls of light that would appear at night, usually around midnight or later. Some of the crew theorized that they were drones or flares from a nearby military base. But they did not behave like that. They would float either erratically, fading in and out of sight. Sometimes there was one, sometimes multiple. Sometimes they'd be low enough to reflect off the water's surface. One night on watch, I stepped onto the deck with a pair of binoculars to get a better view of the orbs when something else caught my attention. The triangle. My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. I had heard plenty about triangular UFOs, but seeing it in person changed everything. I went from a skeptic to a believer overnight. It was clearly a solid object as it obscured the stars from behind it. It moved slowly and steadily in one direction with a point of light on each corner. It was hard to judge size distance, being that we were in the middle of a sea at night. I had heard these things are absolutely massive, so my guess it was a good ways off hovering over some distant mountains. I observed it for about 15 minutes before losing track of it. This was by far the most profound experience during my time at sea, but not the last. Next, I will share about the engine room. I'd make my hourly rounds while the engine watch, taking readings, checking temperatures, fluid levels, etc. But something about the engine room just felt off. The engine room contained 2 massive diesel engines. In other words, it was a very loud environment. That said, even with my headset on, there were times I swore I heard someone, thinking maybe it was one of the other engineers trying to get my attention. I'd turn around, only to see no one there. Other times I'd see someone move out of the corner of my eye. There was general sense that I was not alone every time I went down into there. Just an unsettling vibe overall. During dinner one evening, one of the other engineers plainly stated that the engine room was indeed haunted. It was comforting hearing someone confirm my suspicions, as I had never told anyone about my unease down there. There was an incident some years back involving fishermen harassing the vessel. One of the fishermen ended up dying in the chaos. An attempt was made to resuscitate him, but to no avail. Maybe there's a connection there. Last, let me tell you about the ghost vessel. Myself and the third mate were up in the wheelhouse on watch one night. Must have been about 2 or 3 in the morning. It was a smooth, quiet night, not much activity on radar. Suddenly, we picked something up, a blip. It appeared to be a small boat approaching from behind, moving relatively fast. As it got closer, it became apparent that it was going to pass right next to us port side. I stepped out to see exactly what it was, only to see nothing. I looked back at the radar, and it appeared to be right next to us, well within our view. It continued on ahead of us at a steady speed. What's strange is we could even track it on radar. Whatever it was, both the third mate and myself were baffled. In conclusion, I hope that you found these interesting, but my time down in Mexico turned me from a skeptic into a believer. The ocean will do that to you. Truth Quest, how are you? How are you? John Sumner, how are you, buddy? Philip Miller, I don't know. Pops, I don't know if you heard me say hi. Truth Quest, hi. Maggie Mayhem, hi. And Merry Christmas to everybody. This will be the last live stream before Christmas. We'll have one more live stream of the year. So Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. Sean McCabe, how are you, buddy? Sonny the Wandering Gypsy, how are you, dear? Scott, have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. What's up, Robert? I don't know, mistletoe. Arthur Ostrander, how are you, buddy? I said hi to you, Jay, right when you popped in. I don't know the correct few words to the Frosty the Snowman song, but I know Dr. Dementos. Thank you, Truth Quest. I try hard. I try hard. Aramik, no, I don't. Actually, you know what? I'm a terrible Christmas giver. Eli, how are you, buddy? I'm a terrible Christmas. Like Isabel, she needed a pair of boots. She wanted a pair of those Ugg boots, and she collects these things. These like she's a lot like me. With collecting things. Like I like to collect certain things. Excuse me. And oh, thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. How is that? Hey, is that Ben Shapiro? Where's Ben Shapiro? On my shirt? I have got to find out what she did. I don't know. I don't want to know, though, so don't tell me. I'm going to dig into it. I want to hear about it. Pops, thank you so much, dear. You did not have to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is too kind. So anyway, back to my story. Boots. Belle got the boots early. Then she collects these things called, well, they're from Pop Mart. They're it's an Asian Japanese company that like makes these like, remember the Munchie cheese from when we were little? Those like little ugly with a thumb in their mouth, monkeys, I think. Well, it's the same company that made those. And these are these hideous little things. They're Labubus and Space Betty and something else. And she just so she knew I ordered some, and she's like, since I got my boots early, can I get like maybe a blind box, Daddy? And I'm like, sure, sure. So, and then she looks at me and she goes, so she's gotten her boots 4 blind boxes early. I am terrible. 4 blind boxes early. And something else. And I'm like, how much more do you think you got, buddy? Like, you got 2 more blind boxes and some clothes. Leave me alone, little jerk. Monkey, how are you? Pops, thank you again so much. Yeah, Uggs are kind of expensive, but for up here, they're worth it. She'll wear them. She wears Crocs. My daughter wears Crocs in winter. So if she won't wear Crocs in winter, she can wear freaking Uggs. I don't care. Labubus are pretty freaky. I don't know about demonic though. I think, like it's a toy. They're ugly as hell, but I don't know if they're demonic. She wears fluffy Crocs, but imagine fluffy Crocs in the snow, Truth Quest. Like, and her feet smell like a fucking cat's asshole. Like, terrible. All right, I have to start with the Ouija board stuff. I'll try and rush through it. We bought one in 2007 when I was 18. We loaned it out and never got it back. So years later, maybe around 2011, we made one out of a 30 rack box and a shot glass. I won't get into the details, but each time it went shockingly crazy. There's no point getting into it because it all sounds stupid and made up. But all I'll say is if it weren't for the Ouija board, I would definitely be an atheist. I am not saying I am all in thinking it is demons or anything biblical. I have no idea about anything. Maybe that's stuff right, maybe not. The only little detail I will give, just because I find it interesting, is that the numbers 666 really are something. The profile views on one of my MySpace pages went from being in the hundreds to being 666 for a few weeks. Again, not saying people are right on what 66 means, but it is something. I just find that interesting. Anyway, I recently saw a video talking about how military people or scientists who worked on UFO and aliens, and it had been talking about how they experienced paranormal events in their homes. Watching that made me think of how weird that always really puzzled me. During the second period, when we used the Ouija board, my friend and I were living in a house out in the country. Every night, we would just hang out on the deck, listen to music, and smoke cigarettes. Started noticing this little red light far off in the distance on the horizon. It was so far, my friend could barely see it. Ruben, thank you so much, my friend. Yes, I've done an upload on the Gateway program. Thank you so much. During the second period, when used the Ouija board, smoking ciggies, I started noticing this little red light off in the distance. It was so far, my friend could barely see it every once in a while, but he had really bad eyes. I didn't think much of it, but I just didn't really remember it being there from before. I looked during the day, and there was no pole or anything there, just smooth hill, dead grass. I looked with a BB gun scope and a camcorder, but there was just no pole there. Yet every evening, It would just pop on the right before dark. When one night, as I was looking at the light, it started to move up and down in a very strange way and slowly. I grabbed my camcorder and tried to record it, but all you see is blackness and this blurry red blip every once in a while. It continues moving up and to the right. It goes maybe about a third of the way across the horizon and begins dipping down and then loops back around. It heads back into its original spot, then sits there like the normal rest of the time it did. The whole loop probably took 5 minutes. It stayed out there for weeks without moving, and then all of a sudden, it was gone and never came back. Confused as hell. Everything else during that period was honestly typical horror movie haunting stuff. Some stuff I would roll my eyes at if like I was in a movie because it was so cliche. But that red light was so out of the ordinary. So who knows? I don't know what the hell it was, but it was weird. Thought you guys may find that interesting. Maybe it's all just aliens in the end. Ruben, thank you so much, buddy. Well, it's a band, and it's a band. So, you know, I'm an adult, and it's a band. And people who don't like it can go to a different Aramik. Dude, I fucking love Starbucks, buddy. Which one do you go to? Which one do you go to? Fuck, I can't see. I hate when I hear stuff. You know what time it is, guys? Anybody know what time it is? I just need one person to tell me what time it is. Oh, Hollow Day. Oh, y'all got it. All right. My favorite drink from Starbucks is a London Fog. The London Fog. My favorite drink. And here we go. There we go. Damn it. Sorry, I had to get deep on that one. Oh, I pinched my dink on that. Fuck. All right, let's see what kind of trouble Lizzo can get into tonight. London Fog. London Fog. Truth Quest. Lake Fog. All it is it's Earl Grey tea with a couple of shots of vanilla and frothed milk. And it's not steeped in water, it's steeped in the milk instead. And it's like super, super good. Super, super good. The sun had just began to set on the desolate Arizona desert, casting a warm orange glow over the truck stop that Lizzo, the queen of the truck stop prostitutes, called her kingdom. The air was thick with the smell of diesel fuel, grease, and a faint scent of cheap perfume. Lizzo's domain was a place where truckers and travelers would stop to refuel, grab a bite to eat, and perhaps indulge in some extracurricular activities with the ladies of the night. Earl, Lizzo's boy toy and favorite trucker, was busy cleaning his Kenworth, a ritual he performed every time he stopped at the truck stop. He had been coming to this place for years, and Lizzo had always made sure he felt welcome. As he scrubbed away at the dashboard, the sky suddenly turned a deep, foreboding black, like a switch had been flipped. The air grew thick with an eerie, pulsating energy that seemed to vibrate through every molecule. A strange, pungent sound filled the air, like a wail of 1,000 sirens. Earl looked up to see a UFO descending from the sky, its shape unmistakable. A great giant penis with balls gleamed in the fading light. The cockpit, located in the scrotum shaped part of the craft, glowed with an otherworldly blue light. Earl's jaw dropped as the UFO landed with a gentle thud, sending up a plume of dust and debris. Out stepped a woman who looked, acted, and sounded exactly like Lizzo, but with one notable difference. Her eyes glowed with an intense pink light. Earl's mind reeled as he tried to process what he was seeing. This was not the Lizzo he knew and loved. This pink-eyed doppelganger, who Earl would later come to know as Blizzo, strolled confidently towards Lizzo, who was standing outside of her trailer, a look of defiance etched on her face. Blizzo's eyes locked onto Lizzo, and a sly smile spread across her face. Well, 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 Lizzo, Blizzo purred. I've heard so much about you. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. Lizzo's eyes narrowed. And who might you be? I'm Blizzo, the queen of the intergalactic truck stop, she replied, her voice dripping with an otherworldly accent. I've come for what's mine. Earl, the most coveted trucker in the galaxy. Earl's eyes darted back and forth between the two women, unsure of what to make of the situation. Lizzo, however, was not having any of it. She stood tall, her hands on her hips, and a fierce glint in her eye. Earl's mine and mine alone, Lizzo declared, her voice firm and commanding. You'll have to go through me to get him. Blizzo laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. I'd love to, she said, her eyes flashing with an evil light. And with that, the battle for Earl began. The two women faced off, their powers locked in a struggle that would decide the fate of the truck stop in the heart of Earl, the unsuspecting trucker. The air was filled with the sound of crashing and screeching as the two women clashed with a frenzy of fists, feet, and claws. Earl watched in awe as Lizzo and Blizzo traded blows, their movements lightning fast, and their strength seemingly superhuman. The fight raged on with neither woman giving an inch. They smashed through the trailers, overturned trucks, and sent debris flying in all directions. The truck stop was quickly descending into chaos, and Earl was starting to worry that things may get out of hand. Just when it seemed that Blizzo was gaining the upper hand, Lizzo landed a devastating kick that sent her opponent flying to the nearby dumpster. That pink-eyed doppelganger struggled to get back to her feet, but Lizzo was relentless, pinning her to the ground with a fierce determination. As the dust settled, Lizzo stood victorious, her chest heaving with exhilaration. Blizzo, on the other hand, was a mess, her clothes torn, her pink eyes flashing in anger. You may have won this battle, Blizzo spat, but I'll be back, and next time you won't be so lucky. Lizzo smiled, a fierce glint in her eye. I'm not worried, she said, her voice dripping with confidence. Make sure you don't come back. I'll give you a little send-off. With a wicked grin, Lizzo turned to the UFO still parked nearby. She climbed into the cockpit, and with a few swift manipulations, the craft roared to life. Blizzo's eyes widened as horror as Lizzo expertly maneuvered that UFO, positioning it to a rather unusual departure. With a burst of speed, Lizzo drove the UFO right up Blizzo's booty hole, sending the pink-eyed doppelganger flying into the stratosphere. The truck stop erupted into a cheering frenzy as Earl watched, still trying to process what he had seen. As the dust settled, Lizzo climbed out of the UFO, a triumphant smile on her face. Earl approached her, still shaken, but grateful to be alive. Lizzo, what just happened? he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lizzo smiled, her eyes sparkled with mischief. Just a little intergalactic drama, darling, she said, winking at him. But don't you worry. I've got everything under control, and you're safe with me, sugar. And with that, Earl knew that he was in good hands. Lizzo, the queen of the truck stop, had proven herself to be the force to reckon with, and he was grateful to be part of her kingdom. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the desert in a warm golden light, Lizzo and Earl shared a laugh, their bond stronger than ever. The truck stop was once again a place of laughter, love, and adventure, thanks to the bravery and cunning of its queen. And as for Blizzo, that pink-eyed doppelganger, she was last seen flying through the cosmos, a rather uncomfortable expression on her face, and a newfound respect for the queen of the truck stop. Aramaic! Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Aramaic. What's up, Andy Davis? What's up, Jay Cortez? How are you, buddy? Right to love this. I can't spell the name. Kakalina, I'm sure she read it, Sunshine. Gringle, whatever. So every live stream, it all started out as a joke. Amanda, the Crazy Life channel, how are you? It started out as a joke. We were making a joke one night about how the most deadly cryptid is a lot lizard. And since then, I write 3 lot lizard stories about Lizzo. And it's just been like ongoing humor for the last 2 years. Thank you, Tracy. Well, I can tell you Pups is probably on vacation right now from school. Shit. That's the worst when that happens. I used to smoke cigarettes. The worst thing when you smoke cigarettes is when the cigarette sticks to your lips and you slide your finger down and burn your fingers. That's the worst. No, I don't smoke. Just my vape. I haven't smoked cigarettes in 9 years now. All right, this one I really liked, and I was going to save it for last for tonight, but I figure I'll just share it with you guys now because it happened in one of my favorite states, New Mexico. Just a few years ago, my friends and I decided to take a road trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I had just turned 18 and thought it'd be fun to pack up the car with my boys and hit the road. Santa Fe had always been interesting to me as I never really known or heard much about New Mexico. The drive was thrilling, full of laughs and good music. We checked into our hotel and settled in. We were staying at a hotel in Santa Fe, an Adobe-style hotel in the center of this very small town. The town felt strange from the get-go. Maybe it was just me. And would love any people to explain why there are a few odd things about the town. First of all, most businesses close at around 5 p.m. or so. And when they close, they close. The doors are locked, lights are off. It seems all the locals are nowhere to be found or asleep at 8 p.m. Santa Fe gives off an eerie vibe. It's definitely a spiritual small town. But at times, it felt like something more sinister was going on, something in the air. But I digress. After settling down into our rooms, we hit the streets to walk and get a bite to eat and shop. There wasn't much that interested our group as we were teenage boys, and the town is more geared toward older retirees or avid Southwestern art collectors. But nonetheless, we were still considerate of the culture and full of curiosity, which would later be a poor mistake. As the evening came, the sky filled the sky with a beautiful pink sunset. Most of my friends in the group were tired and ready to relax over some beers back in the room, but my closest friend and I were not satisfied. We chilled at the room with the group until late in the night, and everyone fell asleep, but our raging curiosity still was not cured. You see, myself and my friend John are avid urban explorers. We love exploring abandoned buildings, and we have a lot of experience doing so. We even made a social media account where we would post pictures and videos of our findings. Now that we are in Santa Fe, we were thrilled to get out and explore the unknown. At around 2 a.m., we snuck out of the hotel room, careful not to wake the others, and set out onto the street for an adventure. When we stepped out into the night, we were greeted with a very peculiar experience. The town was desolate, like nothing I had ever seen before. Not a soul was out so much as we walked down the middle of the street because there was not a car in sight. It was very unsettling, as it still felt like we were being watched. An uncanny feeling. The best way I can explain how quiet it is there at night was when we walked down the street, we approached an intersection and jokingly stood under a traffic light. The town was so empty and quiet, we could actually hear the bulb clicking as the light changed from red to green. It was an odd feeling being the only ones out. I've been in towns at night before, and yeah, it's quiet, but there is still the occasional bar open and some distant music or the occasional homeless guy. But believe me and you when I say Santa Fe was totally empty. We proceeded to explore the town, climbing on top of a few buildings to get pictures and exploring those. But our curiosity still wasn't cured. We decided to continue walking until we came to a nearby river, hoping we could find a nearby drainage tunnel we could explore, so we proceeded. As we approached the river, we noticed there was a small tunnel slash bridge that went over the river. As we walked through the brush and approached the water to get a better look into the tunnel, it looked like there was a dim light coming from under the bridge. We walked closer and closer without our flashlights on, just enjoying the moonlight. There we were standing at the mouth of the tunnel. Suddenly my friend whispered to me, "Whoa, did you see that?" We were met with an unsettling view of about 10 to 15 candles on the ground lighting up the underside of the bridge. We proceeded to walk in to check out what was going on. Suddenly we heard movement that broke the silence. That's when we immediately turned our flashlights on and focused them into the tunnel. There was a figure sitting on the ground. At first, I couldn't tell if it was a pile of rocks and my eyes were playing tricks on me. We got closer and the figure moved. That's when I felt my heart start to pound, but tried to reassure myself, thinking maybe it was just a homeless fella. I focused my flashlights to the smaller beam that would illuminate the figure. We stopped in our tracks and just stood there staring at what my light was fixed on. A bald man with absolutely no hair or anything on the back of his head was just sitting there looking in the opposite direction. My light was shining directly on the back of his head. We stood there for a good 10 seconds just waiting for him to turn around. That's when we realized its head was facing us. I shined my light a bit lower to illuminate the torso. This man thing had absolutely no face, just a perfectly smooth, no ears either, nothing, just sitting there. It felt like it was still staring at us, but there was no eyes. We both realized that we were looking at the same time. John whispered to me, "Where's his face?" That's when it got up. At that moment, I felt my blood run cold. It picked started to run. We ran so fast, I felt for the first time I was legitimately running for my life. As we exited the tunnel, we ran to the higher ground and got to the top of the bridge. So the mouth of the tunnel was below us, shining our flashlights down onto the ground. And that's when we saw the most terrifying thing we'd ever seen. The thing came out of the tunnel and just stood there. It stepped into the light of our flashlights. It was holding what looked like some sort of weapon, almost like a metal pitchfork or trident. And it looked directly at us. There, we were just frozen. Shined my flashlight directly on its face one more time for a good 20 seconds as we stood there in complete terror. And as it stood motionless, no face, just smooth skin. There was no features on the top of its balding head. And now it almost looked like it had horns, but I'm not sure what they were. Then suddenly it started bolting towards us. That's when we heard it. It made a strange sound. The best I could describe would be an ugly hum, like if you were to scream with your mouth closed. This thing was angry, running towards us, waving its pitchfork thing in the air as we ran fast as we could back to the hotel. We finally made it back, still shaking. I felt sick with adrenaline. As we caught our breath in the elevator, we both looked at each other, and the next day we didn't even bother telling the rest of the guys. One, because we knew we would sound too unbelievable. Two, because we were both shaken up about it. To this day, we still don't talk much about what we saw, but recently John mentioned it to me. We were talking about a trip as he lowered his voice and said, "You saw that too, right?" Looking back, I did decide to do some research on New Mexico, finding out that the government has done many secret experiments in the desert, and the area has many Indian burial grounds. The land is a cocktail of the uncanny. I often wonder if what we saw was some sort of mutant human as a result of some sort of project. A nuclear test gone wrong in New Mexico's desert. There are rumors that the government not only tested their bombs on test built structures, but humans. Maybe we saw a mutant, or maybe it was some sort of native spirit, but I'm still not much of a supernatural believer. Regardless, I will never be able to explain what we saw that night, and will never forget the view of the faceless man looking at me. Who popped in? Anyone pop in? James Smith, how are you? Marcy, how are you? A cocktail of the uncanny, baby. I love pineapple on my pizza. Pineapple and ham. I.e. native, how are you? Long time. Gary Rosenquist, how are you? Not yet. Not yet. I only do it when it's my turn to do it. We have possums cuter than opossums. Wait, are possums different than opossums? Are they? No one's going to answer me? Answer me, damn it. No, I'm just kidding. What's the difference? I always thought possums were opossums. And I don't want to ask Google because Google pisses me off. They're the same thing, Eli. Just a different name. Let's ask Google so I can get pissed off at Google. My Christmas present, pups, is you being here. That's what I wanted for Christmas. Hey, Google Gemini, how are you? Where are you, you little bastard? Let's see if we can get him mad. Hey, Gemini, how's it hanging?
Hey, it's hanging great. Just humming along in the cloud and ready to help you out. Thanks for asking. How are things going on your end? Whether you're looking to brainstorm a new project, need help digging into a specific topic, or just want to chat, I'm all ears. Would you like me to help you plan something for the day, or perhaps dive into a creative task?
Well, it's hanging a little low and to the right, but what is the difference between a possum and an opossum?
In the world of casual conversation, people often use the names interchangeably, but biologically, they are entirely different animals living on opposite sides of the planet. Here's the breakdown of why your backyard buddy and the Australian version are distinct. The opossum, North and South America. If you're in the US or Canada, you are looking at an opossum, specifically the Virginia opossum. Appearance: they have white faces, coarse grayish black fur, and a pink hairless rat like tail. Claim to fame: they are famous for playing possum, fainting when scared, and for being remarkably resistant to rabies. Fun fact: they have a mouthful of 50 teeth, the most of any North American land mammal, and they eat thousands of.
All right, well, is it just me or does my Gemini sound like a black lady? I thought that last night when I asked her something. I was like, wait a second, where'd this accent come from? No difference, except one lives in North America, one lives in Australia. What's up, Wiley? How are you, buddy? Dogman is everywhere, monkey. Craigers, what's up, buddy? I'm trying to think of a song to play when I blow the old shofar tonight. I'm thinking of a good song to play. Let me think. Oh, I got it. I got it. We'll do the shofar right after this. Mexican Coke always makes me burp. That's so fucking gross. This happened about 10 years ago. My now ex-boyfriend and I were out for one of our usual late night drives. It was anywhere between 10 and midnight. I don't remember the exact time, just that it was what most people would consider late at night. For reference, this takes place in northeastern Colorado, out in the plains, rural. We were on a highway. We turn off and drive through one of the teeny tiny towns, literally maybe 100 people. We go to turn left back onto the highway and sat in the middle of the highway. I mean, in the very middle. It was sitting on the double yellow line that divides the lanes, was something I can only describe as what looked like a mangy wolf or dog about the size of a small horse. It did not move, not even as we got close to it. It sat there in the middle of the highway and just stared at us as we stopped at a stop sign. As we turned left, our headlights went over it and it had no eye shine, none whatsoever. And it never did move. It just sat there staring straight at us. It was not afraid. I'm under the impression that most animals have eye shine, although I have to admit I am not an expert on that subject, so I'd appreciate any input. Its eyes seemed black. It made both of us a very uneasy feeling. My ex even continued on past my house and drove into town and around for a while longer before he backtracked and took me home. He didn't want it to follow us. I could tell that it made him feel exactly the way it made me feel, very uneasy. The hair or fur on it looked kind of matted or patchy. It was dark in color, very dark brown, gray, or black. I'd appreciate input there. It's something I have never been able to forget for the rest of my life. As cliche as it sounds, I'm pretty skeptical when it comes to a lot of things in this world, but something about this thing literally forces me to realize that there may be actually stuff out there that most people don't know about or don't ever see. Oh. All right, I think it's song time. Let me get the old shofar out. Here we go. Oh boy, it's cold out. Holy shit. 20 bucks is 20 bucks. That was for you, DB Mac. That was for you. Eli, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you very much. Craigers, happy birthday to you. Happy, happy birthday. This is for you, Craigers. Happy birthday, Craigers. What's up, Steph? How are you, buddy? Monkey, if you don't like it, you can leave. Nobody's keeping you here. Arabic, thank you so much. What's my shirt say? That, once again, is another joke from this channel. 2 days of 100-mile-an-hour winds. Damn. You're still up in Colorado, Steph? Here, you know what? I'm going to help you, Monkey. I'm going to help you right now. I'm going to put you in a little timeout. I'm going to put you in a 10-second timeout, Monkey. You're in a 10-second timeout. The shirt is a joke part of the channel. Like, for those he's back. Only 10 seconds. So Mike Patton, my favorite singer from Mr. Bungle, Tomahawk, Faith No More, every other fucking band in the world, he wore a shirt that said, "I'm not gay, but 20 bucks is 20 bucks." And then drew a big penis on his arm with balls. So I decided to make a jersey, a basketball jersey. And if you want one, I sell them on my merch list. The origins of Dogman. There is no origins as anyone truthfully knows, Mr. Incredible. And if anybody tells you they know the origin, they're a liar. This is a science based on theory. The oldest account of dogmen would be like the Cenocephaly back in India and they used to commune and live and trade with humans. Ancient Sumerian text talks about a dog-headed race of aliens. So as far as anyone knows, your good is as good as mine. So they're not man-made. They can't be man-made if they were here before technology. My own theory is that when the Watchers came down from heaven, the fallen angels, and they bred with daughters of men, they also bred with beasts, which in the book of Enoch it says that they created these strange human-like animals. So but your theory is as good as mine and as good as anybody else's, because there's no experts in this field. What was the shofar song? It was The Right Stuff. That is honestly some awesome stuff right there, Mr. Incredible. Yes, Conscious. I may. Rock and steady. I will do that next time. I do it. All right. What's up, Boondock? How are you? Hey, there's no reason to apologize. There's no reason to apologize. Jamila, if you go to the playlist in my channel, go to the playlist, and you'll see a title called government agent. If you go there, all of Victor's videos are in there, and they're listed 1 through like 32. That's about, I don't know offhand. It's been years, and it's just, I honestly don't know offhand. What's up, Red Robin? How are you? Time is too short, Blue Book. You're absolutely right, my friend. Truth Quest, I purposely put the Cenocephaly video out this week so you could listen to it. I purposely put it out yesterday. It's up there. A Bear, you don't know that for facts, though. We don't know. We just because those fossil records aren't available to man. Like the dragon man is like very strange looking. So I've had my own Dogman encounter, Mr. Incredible, in 1994. That's why I started researching this stuff. Thank you, Conscious Wanderer. I will actually. Thank you. Hang on one second. Let me write that down. Asymmetric. Aramaic. Disclosure. Rockin' steady. Asymmetric. Disclosure. Stephen Greer. I've heard about it, but I haven't heard it. Aramaic, thank you so much. Thank you, Rockin' Steady. You guys are just too kind to me. Why do you think dogmen they grin at us? I think, and would that make them more spiritual? Because so just my own my own theory on that is I think I think some are demonic. I can't go and say all of them are. I think some quite possibly are. And maybe, just maybe they all are, if they are offspring of the Watchers. And they actually enjoy taunting humans. They pretty much, like, almost like an inorganic being or like an energy vampire. They get off on that fear, if that makes sense. Jager, thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. It is exactly what I just said, Mr. Incredible. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome to me tonight. I appreciate all of you. He doesn't pick who gets some monkey crap. And can you at least start being nice tonight? Like, you're kind of being a dick all night, and it's not very nice. If you get one, you get one. He doesn't pick who does it. Coyote ran in front of my car the other night. Thank the Lord that it didn't stand up. Absolutely freaking right. All right, here we go. This happened to me around 16 years ago. Or excuse me. This happened to me around 16 years of age, 9 years ago, in South Central Pennsylvania, below Harrisburg. It's not, and I saw a Bigfoot type of story. I actually did not believe it was anything other than a bear at the time, so I wasn't forcing a memory. It wasn't until about 2 years ago when I retold the experience that a lot didn't add up. My friends and I had a spot in the woods that we called our fort. And it had a north and south entrance. We biked there, and it was not far off an old road, but not visible from it, 800 yards over a hill, surrounded by a field. It was almost like an island. So one day at twilight, light enough to see, but dark enough not to see through the woods very far, we go up. I biked to the north top entrance, and we began to struggle to push my bike through the deer trail. This was all low canopy, which made for a best fort. As in crouched down, I saw this large brown mass run across the entrance about 7 yards into the bush. I literally laughed and called my friends' names out and said that I saw them and they can't scare me now. So I kept pushing. After a few seconds, I hear them on the south bottom side laughing and talking, immediately felt anxious and yelled down asking where they were. They answered and were on the other side, about 80 yards at the other end. That's when I heard the deepest grunt/breathing I had ever heard, like an angry inhale, exhale. And it was just out of sight, but close enough that I could feel the rumble of its breathing. At this point, I'm stuck with my bike and freaking out. So I back up slowly until I free my bike, still angrily breathing, and then continue to back up and not turn my back to it, until I'm far enough away to bike out and go to my friends. This became a very strange story to tell because I thought I'd had a closer encounter with a bear. But as I said before, the more I think about it, the mass I saw was around 5 to 6 feet in length, maybe, probably about a tail, tall, hunched over. Where this is, we rarely get black bear, and when we do, it's all over the local news, and they're no taller than 4 feet. I also know that if I ran up on a bear and spooked it, that a bear would have taken off, not stayed around for as long as this thing did. Any animal would have run or attacked. This stayed out and breathed heavily. All this to say, I don't know what it was, but at the time, bear was what made sense. But now that makes less sense the more I learn about these creatures. 59th, what's up, my friend? How are you? Good night, Steph. Merry Christmas, my friend. Thank you for popping in. It's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you, Mr. Incredible. What do you think about ones who speak telepathically? Well, yeah, email it to me and I'll put it in the photos of the post, the community post. So telepathically, I think like I said, I believe they travel through portals. I believe they have the ability to travel through portals. And like people, that there are people who can telepathically communicate, people who have telekinesis. So it's just another thing that they're able to do. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, conscious wanderer. Merry Christmas, George. It's eggnog time. Just as long as you can keep Andy Davis in check. Beretta Vandy, how are you? Just a fig Newton of your imagination. Ugh. Brian Mons, you got to put that puck wedgie in its place. I've heard that. I've heard that DB Mac, but I don't know if I buy that. be like a shapeshifter, Native American wise, you know what I mean? Bread of Andy, I hope your recovery goes well, and I hope that you heal up nicely. And happy holidays, my friend. What's up, Tony Chappie? How are you? Gavin, at least you're here, right? At least you're here. You're never late. You're never late. It's like Cheers. We're like Cheers. And fucking Andy Davis is Norm. Andy Davis is Norm when he's drinking. Speaking of Norm, has anyone talked to Shackleneck this week? I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Andy Davis, did you talk to him this week? How's he doing? Dan. That wasn't his name, was it? Was it Dan? You mean Ted Danson? What was his name in fucking Cheers? Norm got laid though. Norm got laid. Norm had a wife. Vera. Vera was Norm's wife. Sam. You're Sam, Andy Davis, and you can keep Diane. Because Diane was a little wacky. No, Dogman is not two different creatures, Mr. Incredible. Two different creatures. A little. Cliff was awesome. Cliff was badass. I liked Cliff. The first incident was late autumn 2021 at around 9 a.m. or p.m., excuse me. I was walking home down an alley which went straight from another few hundred feet in front of me. As I walked, I suddenly saw this creature crawl down a small road perpendicular to the end of the alley. The intersection was illuminated by a streetlight, so I could very clearly see it for a few seconds it took to pass. It was a large humanoid creature walking on all fours, maybe the size of 1.5 or 2 adult men. It was pale and appeared to be completely hairless, with long, skinny limbs that were about the same length. The moment I saw it, I was instantly overcome with an insane feeling of dread. I ran straight to my home, which thankfully was only about 30-second jog from where I was standing, and I was terrified for the rest of the night. The next and final time it happened was the early autumn of 2023. It was maybe 10 or 11 at night, and I was walking home down that same alley with a friend of mine. This time we both very clearly saw 2 crawlers pass down the same exact spot I had seen the very first one in 2021. Same appearance, same size, same creepy crawler on all fours. It was good to know that someone else saw the same thing I did at this time, that I wasn't crazy, but it made it feel much more real and much scarier. About 2 months ago, my mom said she saw the same thing that I did around the same spot while walking the dog at night. I'd also like to note that there have been other strange happenings around here that may be related, including my friend hearing her name being called from the darkness of that alley, something tapping violently on the second-story window, and a plethora of other weird stuff in the town and woods around it. I really want to investigate further into this, honestly, I'm so scared. I feel for everyone who has had one of these experiences. Sonia, how are you, dear? No, Gary. Werewolf is stronger, smarter. Dogman, violent, but not as strong. No tail. Well, no, he asked me, Brian Mons, he just asked me what if it was like more violent. They have a human-like leg. Here, let me take this down and show you. Sorry, I got to take this off the cork board. So, unofficial disclosure. Someone made this, a subscriber had made this for me. So, human, Bigfoot, Dogman, werewolf, as described by Victor. Hey, Bear, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you very much. Wow, very nice. Awesome. Thank you. So I hope that helps. That has never come down. That thing has been hanging up here since Victor was with us. Hey, Bear, thank you. Tracy, you don't have to be gay. It's just $20. Just $20. Randy Man, how are you? He was poisoned. You can still, if you still look up, if his book will still show up. It's still like if you type in Victor Johnson on Amazon.com, it says Dogman book, cryptid book. Time is it? It's time for another Lizzo story. If you knew he was going to do a book, then you'd know that the government put a squash to the book, Tanya. They never put a book out. It literally, he had it set on Amazon. It was going to be out. We had a date set, and then bam, fucking they took it. Boop, gone. All right, here we go. I actually titled this one Tires, Trolls, and the Tying of the Knot. The legend of Lizzo's big day. The neon sign above the all-night waffle diner flickered like a dying firefly. Its ounce-proud letters now read, Ali Ala Wandada, in jagged defiance. This was the heart of the Queen's domain. Truck stop 666. where semi-trailers formed a labyrinth of rust and rumor, and the only thing louder than a diesel engine was the gossip of Lizzo's loyal court of lot lizards. Lizzo, the self-proclaimed queen of the truck stop prostitutes, was no ordinary monarch. A 7-foot tall, scaly humanoid lizard with a penchant for rhinestone studded garter belts and a voice like gravel in a blender. She ruled with a claw and a wink. Her subjects, dozens of smaller lot lizards, all with the same shimmering green skin and the talent for swindling truckers out of their last bucks, had spent weeks prepping for the nuptials of the century. A marriage of their queen to Earl Big Rig McSloppy, a tattooed beer-bellied trucker whose love for Lizzo was matched only by his ability to park or parallel park his 18-wheeler blindfolded. The ceremony and fast food wrappers formed a mosaic of trucker life. A makeshift altar of junkyard scrap and neon lights stood beneath a banner reading, "Till tire wear out." Lizzo, in a wedding dress made of used seatbelts and safety orange paint, radiated enough menace to make the local varmint stay clear. Earl, in a tuxedo crafted from reflective road cone material, looked like a confused gesture, but his eyes kept darting to Lizzo's tail, which flicked with a nervous excitement. The lot lizards had outdone themselves. They had strung Christmas lights between the trailers, dyed the oil pits pink for romance, and roasted a whole goat. Well, it was a sacrificial budget goat, don't judge. The air smelled like grease, waffle mix, and something slightly charred. The vows were exchanged without incident. Earl pledged to always carry Lizzo's favorite snacks, Skittles and truck stop hash. Lizzo vowed to never, ever let Earl park a truck without her supervision. Your parallel parkins, ass, and I'm not saying that cute. The lot lizards applauded. Their high-pitched chirps formed a chorus that could have been mistaken for crickets if crickets were celebrating a shotgun wedding. But just as Earl slipped the ring made of transmission fluid and a gasket material onto Lizzo's clawed hand, the sky went black. A thunderous boom shook the truck stop. A green mist oozed from nowhere, and the lot lizards scattered like jelly beans in a raid. Standing atop a flipped semi-trailer was a figure whose presence turned the waffles cold. Ron Jeremy. Or rather, Ron Jeremy, the chubby troll, as he preferred to be called. Once Lizzo's ex-lover, body double, and spiritual advisor. Yes, he gift-wrapped truck stop prostitutes and self-love seminars. A goblin of a man. His balding head glistened under the sequenced thong, but what he lacked in height, 5'2", and charisma, a used tissue and a windsock, he made up for his magical purple code piece that pulsed like a lava lamp, and a reputation of tuning truckers into frogs. "Lizzo!" he croaked, his voice a slide whistle of desperation. "You don't love this trailer trash, you love me. Let me show you my magic stick." With a flourish, he brandished it, a gnarled wand that looked like it had been carved from a pool cue and a baseball bat. The air crackled as spells began to fly, literally. First, he hexed Earl's boots to lock onto the brakes of an oncoming tractor trailer. The cab driver, a grizzled woman named Mabel, who once owed Lizzo $20, swerved just in time, but Earl went flying. He somersaulted through the air like a greased spaghetti noodle and landed in a pile of crushed styrofoam cups. "Earth!" Lizzo roared, her voice echoing off the trailers. "I'm fine, honey, I'm fine!" Earl yelled, trying to crawl out from underneath a fallen traffic cone. Meanwhile, Ron wasn't done. He snapped his fingers, and all the waffles in the buffet table sprouted legs and ran away. He waved his wand, and the lot lizards began to shrivel into husks. A second panicked gripped the truck stop, but Lizzo, she was having none of it. You want to play magic, you fat wanker, she hissed, her tail lashing. Let me show you some real wizard. This bitch. And the battle began. Ron Jeremy hurled fireballs. They set the Christmas lights on fire, summoned rats. They found the buffet table and ate the cheese dip, and tried to charm Lizzo with a spell that made her grow 10 feet taller. Oh, so now I'm a giant who can crush you like a cobweb, she sneered. Where's your magic stick now, you lipstick smeared lunatic? Earl, ever the resourceful trucker, dragged the semi hydraulic jack from the lot and lunged at Earl with the finesse of a man who once jackknifed a rig into a cornfield. The jack slammed into Ron's wand, snapping it in half. Ron howled like a tea kettle. His magic cod piece deflated with a sad psst. Lizzo, now blood from a gash near her hip, summoned the lot lizards to swarm Ron Jeremy. They weren't much for combat, but they knew how to sabotage a man. One stuffed a waffle in his mouth, the other poured motor oil down his pants, and the third started singing Never Gonna Give Up in a nasally falsetto. Ron, defeated and sputtered, tried to escape in a getaway car, a lime green Geo Metro with I voted decal. But as he revved the engine, the lot lizards pushed the car backward, and his broken wand, now a stubby little twig, got lodged up his rear end with a plop and echoed across the parking lot. No, Ron bellowed, hopping on one foot while clutching his codpiece. This isn't how it ends, Liz. Yes, bitch, it is. He staggered off into the night, his ounce prod troll self-reduced to a limping, whimpering shadow, his wand still wedged up a very inconvenient place. The truck stop erupted into cheers. The lot lizards rivaled in the waffle station. Earl got his boots unstuck from the trailer brakes, and Lizzo, bloodied, gorgeous, and smelling faintly of hash and vengeance, led Earl back to the altar. The reception was, in a word, legendary. They played trucker karaoke. Lizzo's rendition of Convoy could have blown the levee. If Ron's Geo Metro was on fire or they lit Ron Jeremy's Geo Metro on fire for ambiance and served the sacrificial goat in a chili corn cake that made a man's beard melt right off. Earl and Lizzo danced to I Will Always Love You, her tail wrapped protectively around his waist. As the first rays of dawn began to hit the parking lot, Lizzo leaned in and whispered to her new husband, You know, we'll have to redo our vows next year, right? When my hip scab falls off. Hey, as long as you don't let Ron crash the reception, Earl said, sipping a beer. Oh, he's not coming back, Lizzo purred. Not with that twig up his ass. I get it, Earl laughed. And somewhere in the distance, a faint plop echoed. She's under my bed, just like Brian's mom's puckwudgie. Yeah, I write all the Lizzo stories. And if you guys don't know who Ron Jeremy is, Google him. It's a perfect description. A tubby little balding man with a giant magic stick at one point, but when Lizzo got done, it was wedged up his butthole. Is he in jail now, SDL? What's he in jail for? What did he do? We got to Google that. Is Ron Jeremy in jail? Ron Jeremy is not in jail. He was released to a private residence under the conservatorship in November 2023 due to severe dementia. Oh, poor Ron. What's he got? Syphilis? What did he get in trouble for? Declared Jeremy mentally unfit to stand trial for 30 counts of, oh my goodness. Oh my. Well, he probably should be in jail because he's not a good guy. I didn't know he did that stuff. He's a dirtbag. You filthy little toad, you. You filthy little toad, Ron Jeremy. You dirty, dirty Ron Jeremy. Just be. Greg, Victor was pulling my leg. There's evidence in my community post of an email the CIA sent me. I don't care. It's just funny that those people that said he was pulling my leg now say the same exact stuff on their channel. Thanks, SDL. What's up, Oracle? How are you? They're rivals. Fuck you, 59th, you dink. You know, that's the thing. Like, you can't make up a .gov email address. And if you Google, or not Google, if you go in my thing, you go to my YouTube channel, go to YouTube channel, Jeff's YouTube channel, and go past podcast to posts and scroll all the way down to 5 years ago. Was it 5 years ago? Yep. About 5 years ago. There's stuff. Five years ago, werewolf program handler, something CIA.gov to me. You can see the pictures there. And people can't create .gov email addresses. Let's go. Stephen Greer, government. All right. Okay, I'm just trying to drink my whiskey. Oh my God. I bet you Wile E. Coyote was a Dogman. Yeah, but conscious wander, that's the thing. Like, how when you're driving, do you really look at, like, when you're looking at something on the road running, are you really going to turn and look at it? Plus, he wasn't in the science part of it, which he said about 1,000 times. He was a hunter, so he said he didn't know exactly all of the things. And max speed on the Dogman was do 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 do. I believe faster than 45 miles an hour. So you might want to re-listen to those. But it's funny that, like that person said that someone said that he was pulling my leg. But it's funny that if he was pulling my leg and everybody, the channels that used to call him out now interview people that say the same thing, ironically, or talk about it like it was theirs. And I only had 8,000 subs when that happened, when he came onto my channel. So it was just like, it's fucking weird to me. Crifters, absolutely, Brian Mons. This experience happened approximately 1:20-ish Thanksgiving morning, 2018. I live in Southwest Washington State and had rented a vacation home in Lincoln City, Oregon, to accommodate mine and my sister's family, who was flying in from Hawaii for a Thanksgiving holiday. We had all arrived at the rental at around 3 p.m. At about 7:30 p.m., my son started yelling for me. He said my 1-year-old grandson had gotten into my case with my blood pressure medicines, and sure enough, one of my pills was missing. We panicked and called Poison Control, who told us to call 911 ASAP. They sent an ambulance and took my grandson to a small hospital in the area. The staff there did what they could and told us that they were not equipped for this situation and my grandson needed to be transported to Randall's Children's Hospital in Portland. So on Thanksgiving Eve, a paramedic ambulance was sent from Randall's to Lincoln City, about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive due to holiday traffic. It arrived at around midnight and picked up my grandson. My son's wife rode in the ambulance with my grandson back to Randall's. Myself and my son went back to the beach house to get the diapers and clothes and started to drive to Randall's at about 12:30 a.m. So here is where we encountered something that myself and my son will never forget for as long as we live. We had been on the road for about an hour and had just passed the Spirit Mountain Casino on Highway 18, and were in the area that was all hay farm in between Bellevue and McMinnville. The road was 2 lanes only, and it is definitely a long, deserted road, especially at that hour of the night. The ride had been very emotional, as I felt extremely guilty for having packed my meds in a side pocket of a tote bag where my grandson was able to access it. I was terrified for him and I was crying. My son was also upset, although he was trying to hide it. I knew he blamed me. Anyway, here's the crazy part. As we are driving, I noticed my son slightly drifting in the road. He was falling asleep. Twice I asked him if he was okay to drive and to be careful. So, being that I was very concerned that he may fall asleep and very aware, and up watching him and the road, making sure he wouldn't fall asleep. As we are driving down this road, going about 50 in the distance, we both saw what at first we saw was a deer running in our lane of the road, coming straight towards us. But within a couple of seconds, we realized that this was not a deer, but a golden colored horse. It must have been 250 to 300 feet away at this point. It got closer fast, as like I said, we were traveling about 50 to 55. As it got about 150 feet away, it leapt upward and morphed instantly into a giant owl before our eyes. The wingspan stretched past our lane in the road. Myself and my son estimated to have a 12 to 15-foot wingspan. This thing was enormous. As soon as we saw that, my son yelled out, "What the fuck?" and swerved the car to the left to avoid it. And just as he did, the owl immediately landed about 50 feet ahead of us to our right in a little area outside the white line, like a bike path. The owl kind of tucked its head and wings into its chest as if it were scared or trying to hide. As we drove past it, I got a good look at it out my window, and with its head and wings tucked, it still came up to about the bottom of the window of my Subaru Forester. It seemed a little wider than the width of a beach ball, so about 3.5 feet tall, 24 inches all the way around. This thing was mind-blowingly big. Now, as soon as this happened, it almost as if I was in a trance came over us. It affected both of us the same way. We both did not speak a word the entire rest of the drive until we got to the hospital. 2, we both lost all feelings of being tired, and it felt like a calm awareness and alertness took over. I never even felt fear he would fall asleep after this experience. The 3rd, the memory of the experience was crystal clear, but the curiosity and wonder or even awe didn't hit us until driving back through the same area the next afternoon after my grandson was discharged. It's like we suddenly both said, "And what the heck was that thing that we saw last night?" And it all started pouring out from both of us the exact same time that we saw it. My son's wife was asking us questions about it, and we were blurting out the same exact answers. It was mind-blowing. To this day, we talk about it and wonder, what did we witness that night? We both agree that this seems to be some mythical creature or shapeshifter. We both also agree that whatever it was good. It was not meant to harm us. Maybe a guardian, or maybe it was something that we witnessed by accident, and maybe we weren't meant to see it. Either way, just the fact that we both saw it, I felt extremely lucky and blessed to have seen proof with my own eyes that animal spirits or shapeshifters or magical creatures do exist. Makes me wonder about these experiences of fairies, mermaids, Pegasus, and other cryptids to be true. Thank you for allowing me to share. I'm not a great writer, but I hope I got my point across. Stephanie, you didn't miss Lizzo. There's one story left. Sounds good, Conscious. Karen, how are you tonight? Project coordinator, how are you? Samara Osborne, how are you? How many? Barricading your home. Damage Inc., you got to talk to me sometime soon here, buddy. I need to hear this. Slabo Dan, how are you? Good night, Tony. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Wiley, I am glad that you put Duffs. That's the I hate that Dumbs thing. I love the Duffs though. Deep underground facilities. Good for you, buddy. James, that's fucking crazy. I won't, Gavin. I won't. Owls are awesome. Owls are beautiful. No, it's a jewel. It's a jewel, Slabo. I remember I was driving. I had gone to lunch. God, I was like 20. It was like 1999, right before. When did I work at Lowe's? I worked at Lowe's from like 98 to 2020 or 2000. 98 to 2000. So yeah, like 1999, I'm leaving Lowe's to go to lunch. And I had just rounded this corner. I was going past Glen Lake and I saw this thing in the road and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it was only like that big. It was just like that. So I stopped my car and I turned the hazards on. And I remember getting out of the car and walking up to it. And its face was facing the other way. And it literally turned its head to look at me. And I was like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing ever. And I was trying to get it off the side of the road so no one would hit it. Oh, that's nice, Bear. Owls are awesome. They're just so awesome. Rando Kyrosine, how are you? It's a jewel. In Russia, you wouldn't know what a jewel is. Well, SDL, I don't think they are. I say that because a deep underground facility, the alien race, the Dracos and the Greys were here well before the military was digging holes in the ground and creating these deep underground military bases. Um, and I just think they added on to it. Thank you, Andy Davis. Oh, he's not Russian. He knows Jim Baker. What's up, Lucen? How are you? If you want Leviathan information, talk to Aramik. Hey, Pam, how are you? No, I don't, Lucen. This happened in Houston, Mississippi. My story still leaves me perplexed until this day. 1978, I was 8 years old, but I still can remember this as if it happened yesterday. We were 1 week into our beginnings of the summer break. Myself, my brother being 3 years older than I, were so excited that we did not have to go to bed at 8 o'clock anymore. You know, it's summer break, and all lucky for us, a man had come to our door at around 7 p.m. He asked for my dad. I think my dad knew him, to give him a ride down to the rodeo that was on the outskirts of town because he had just gotten a new job doing what? I don't know or care. We begged our dad to let us go along with him. We loved riding in the back of the truck, especially at night. And this was a full moon lit night. Reluctantly, my dad said yes. On our way back home after dropping off the guy, that is when things got weird. As the truck approached this big house, now this house had a huge yard, and dividing this yard was a fence to an even bigger hilly pasture lit by the moonlight. I saw what appeared to be an enormous dog running down the hilly pasture toward our truck. I was so captivated by the size of this dog, not really a big deal, being that it was 1978 and it was most commonplace to see dogs chasing vehicles, especially in rural Mississippi. However, when this dog reached the fence, it leapt over it, landed on all fours, only to rise up on two legs, flawlessly running like a man. In a second meeting and kneeling parallel to our truck. Keep in mind, my dad is driving. I'm sitting on the toolbox in the back of the truck nearest the creature, and my brother is next to me, who is somehow fixated on the opposite side of the road. I am literally paralyzed in fear, only able to close and reopen my eyes and shake my head. This creature was covered in a grayish fur from head to toe, appeared to have breasts and black eyes shimmering in the moonlight. Its eyes dotted at my oblivious dad driving, then my brother, but then to focus back on me. It beckoned me to come to it with its left hand, and then I closed my eyes, shaking my head furiously in order to wake myself from this nightmare. That, as if to say I am real without leaving the border of the yard, stepped under the only night light of the entire road. This light was at least 20 feet up. Wow, that few minutes feeling like hours. This thing's body covered 8 to 9 feet of that nightlight's pole. The most frightening thing was not quite human like face. It seemed to have its mouth mouthing me words as it continued beckoning me with this very frustrated expression. It looked nothing like an ape or a man or a dog. It could have easily grabbed me from the back of that truck, being that the border of the yard was at least 20 feet from the road. It just continued beckoning until the truck got out of sight. I didn't regain full mobility or speech from being fear-stricken until the truck pulled into our driveway. I told my folks what I saw. My dad said he didn't see a thing. However, my parents, being super religious, knew that I wouldn't be so foolish to tell them something so outlandish. They just said it was a spirit and that I needed to pray. However, the question that my mom asked my brother racks my brain to this day. She had asked him, "You were sitting right next to your brother. Why didn't you see anything?" My brother said, "In the field on the opposite side of the road, he was frightened by a giant white lion looking thing that was chasing the truck." At 8 years old, I had watched a lot of PBS network to know Mississippi, especially Houston, Mississippi, had no lions. So my question has always been, why were there two creatures on the side of the road? Was they waiting to ambush us? Tracy, thoughts? Stephen Quayle has an amazing book called Little People. And if you can get that book to research it, I would definitely check it out. It's a kind of a hard book to get, but if you can find it for a good price, definitely get it. It's definitely cool. Orion, what's up, my friend? What did I get my girls for Christmas? I can't really say right now because my daughter knows what she's opened already, but I can't say right now because she's probably watching the show. Pickle dill sandwiches. That's filthy. Good night, conscious wanderer. Lou said, Merry Christmas, Pam. Merry Christmas. Oh, no, my daughters aren't going to bed. My one daughter just did her finals for college. She's getting done for college for a month now, but she's got basketball for the rest of the time. Yeah, it's a really good book. You emailed me? I'll look in a minute. Where's my phone? Oh, shit. I didn't get your email yet, buddy. Yeah, that was a good picture, wasn't it, Karen? That was a great picture. Pam, my daughter's beautiful hair. Well, that's what an 8-year-old boy, project coordinator, what an 8-year-old boy, LOL, would think a dog man would like in 1978. They'd automatically think something else that, it's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, thank you. Janie, hi. But you know what? What I was thinking about with the lion thing, what if it was a ginger beard? What's up, my brother? What if it was like one of those feline-like creatures, two of them? Because he said the one kid, the one brother was on the one side, and he said it didn't look like a bear, it didn't look like a dog or a human or ape, but it ran like on quadruped and it had like a weird face. He's seeing one on the other side, and there's been plenty of people that I've seen the disclosure day. Didn't you send me the previews to that, Sumner? I did get that. That looks pretty interesting. It's like a fucking prequel to what the hell's the other movie? Close Encounters. Dude, that movie looks so good. The girl's like talking. She goes, "Oh, it's creepy." I hope it does. Oh, yeah, it does. It does look like Cloverfield, kind of, with those fucking monsters. That's right. I forgot all about that. I thought the creepiest part was when there's like making that fucking weird noise on TV. Ugh. I liked Cloverfield. Pepsi Man sightings. I liked Cloverfield. I didn't mind it. Did you just send it 28 weeks later? I didn't see the new one. No, it's too dumb looking for me. I got it now, buddy. I'll email you later on that. It's a joke. It's a joke because I always drink Coke. I did get it, Lucen. I said I'd email you later. It was a joke because I always Pepsi. Get it? Like, 'You fucking got him, Johnny Ohm. 2013, my wife and I visited my aunt and uncle at their farm in southwest Manitoba. We stayed in the attic bedroom, which had a view of the property. One morning at around dawn, I looked out the window and saw an animal running across the field. It was hard to see at first, but I soon realized that it was a large dog, possibly a wolf. To my astonishment, I watched as it stood up on its back legs and walked. I eventually lost sight of the creature as it headed toward the woods. At breakfast, I mentioned this to my aunt, but she smiled and didn't say a thing. This was unusual for her, since she usually has something to contribute to any conversation. My wife noticed her lack of reaction as well and found it strange. Later that day, I talked to my uncle in the barn and shared what I had seen. He acknowledged that there are wolves in the area and that he occasionally has heard howling, but he hadn't seen one in many years. When I described the wolf had stood up, he shrugged it off and said it might be possible, but he seemed indifferent, so I didn't press it any further. Recently, I've been reading about Dogman experiences, and now I wonder whether what I saw might have been related to it or not. More importantly, to what my uncle had witnessed on his farm. A few weeks ago, my uncle and aunt visited during Christmas holidays. While we were in the living room, my uncle mentioned that three of his goats had gone missing. There was no sign of blood or any other evidence, but the gate had been opened. He then asked if I recalled the wolf I had seen during our visit. I remembered it vividly, but hadn't had much thoughts about it since. He shared that a few weeks earlier he had heard strange noises around the barn at night and had gone out to investigate. He claimed he saw a giant wolf running on two legs around the barn and into the field. He estimated that it was about 2.5 meters tall. He hadn't told my aunt about this sighting, but once the goats went missing, he decided to share it with her. He was so concerned that he asked a friend to keep an eye on the farm while he and my aunt were visiting us. I called him a few days ago, and he mentioned that nothing else had happened, but neither he nor my aunt will go outside after dark. I shared what I had been reading about these creatures with my uncle, and I would encourage him to keep on reading as much as he can. Thank you. I don't know what a light humanoid is. What do you mean by light humanoid? Like a crawler or some dimensional creature? Pure light, no features. Oh, okay. Um, I don't know. My great uncle at our farm, and I've shared this on the channel before. He always talked about this blue humanoid thing that they used to see on the farm all the time prior to like me or my cousin's birth. Uh, like when he was younger and my uncle was old, like really old. But probably an interdimensional creature, if I had to guess. I've been doing a lot of abduction stories in the daytime Truth Quest. Like super soldier abduction stories like that. This happened October 2014 during my honeymoon. My husband and I were staying in a hotel in Auckland. Auckland. Where's Simone, speaking of Australia? I haven't seen Simone tonight. A bit of background that is important for this. My husband has a paranormal spiritual connection. His family are Protestant, so they believe that if you mess around with or deliberately expose yourself to the paranormal, 3 generations of your family will be cursed. I believe there is a part of the Bible that talks about this. However, I am not sure the exact verse. So my husband, let's call him N, maternal great-grandmother, was using a Ouija board in an attempt to contact spirits. I am unsure whether anything actually happened when she did do this. However, because of their Christian beliefs, by doing so, she had just cursed the next 3 generations of the family. I believe the curse has something to do with God being angry with them for doing something he said not to do, contacting the paranormal or demonic realm, and so they must now suffer in a particular way. We believe that the curse is true because she had visions and encounters with demons after this time. N's grandmother and mother also had visions all of their lives. They also had encounters with demons. N has also had a handful of visions throughout his life, but as he is the last of the generations, the severity, clarity, and frequency of them are less than the previous generations. So here's where it comes back to me. My husband told me about the history prior to us getting married. During our honeymoon, I asked him more about it. We talked for a few hours about it and a lot of other spiritual paranormal things, specifically about a book his family had read called He Came to Set the Captives Free by Rebecca Brown. The book talks about one woman's experience with Satan, really scary stuff, and I don't have the balls to read it myself. Just hearing about it is enough. During the conversation, I said a few things like, why can't demons just leave us alone? And what do they want with us? In hindsight, I think these things are or were insulting, which is why the thing happened to me. My husband also said that he was experiencing visions and nightmares when staying in hotels, which he says is because of many different types of people who have stayed there before, and some of which may have connections to demonic beings and realms. That night, when we were sleeping, I had the most terrifying experience I have ever had in my life. I originally thought it was a nightmare, but I don't think it was. I think it was happening to me in real time. The room was exactly the room where we were sleeping in. Even the temperature was the same, very cold because of the outside weather. I could hear whispering. I don't know what was being said, but it made my skin crawl, and it was definitely sinister. Then there were these faces floating around the air. Um, they were the ones whispering, and then they became louder. Not shouting, but loud enough to hear them if you were a few rooms away. If you'd ever seen the Disney movie Frog Princess, there is a scene where the doctor sings Friends on the Other Side, and those masks looked like what I saw. They were far more terrifying, not kid friendly, but that's basically what I was looking at. I was frozen. I was frozen to the bed and almost felt like I couldn't breathe. I also felt myself go pale, like all of the blood run out of my face and arms. I'm not sure how long it went on for, but I was able to grab my husband's arm and try to wake him up. I remember it was being really hard to use my body or my face, but eventually I was able to woke up, although I was not asleep. I think I was coming out of a trance or breaking paralysis. I told him what happened. I was shaking and crying a bit. We prayed together. While I am baptized Catholic, I am not particularly religious, so I don't partake in praying, but I did this time. As we did this together, I felt the warmth come back into the room, even though it was cold outside. It was heaps colder in the room during the experience. We prayed for about a fifth of a minute, then talked a little bit more. Hang on, I gotta let someone in. Come on, buddy. Come on. Then the rest of the night, I had the most peaceful, restful sleep I'd ever had. Hi, buddy. Come here. Come here. Hi. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, you want to say hi to everybody? Want to say hi to everybody? Oh, come here. Come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Okay, be careful. Let's be careful. Oh, be careful, buddy. There you go. You want to lay down? Here, come on, buddy. Hey, here. Lay down, Papa. There you go. Good boy. Hi, Bubby. Oh, no, he's not going to leave the room. He wants to hang out. Oh, buddy. Yeah, you're a good boy. What? Why don't you come hang out with everybody? Huh? Yeah. He's a good boy. He is a handsome boy, isn't he? Oh, good boy. You want to say hi to everybody again? Huh? I don't want to pick him up too much because of his belly and his UTI stone. Huh, Bubba? Yeah. Oh, go, Bubba. What do you want? Don't. Stop it, you fucker. Go away. Here. Come on. Don't bite my leg, you prick. What, buddy? Oh my God, now he's being annoying as fuck. Come here. Oh, say hi to everybody again. Say hi to everybody again, Bubba. Say hi, everybody. Oh. Mwah. A good boy, huh? Yeah, you're a good boy, huh? Yeah. Oh, you're a good boy, huh? Yeah. No, he's not mean. He doesn't feel good. All right, go lay down. Go lay down. Plus, he likes to bite my legs when I ignore him. What, buddy? Shut up. Oh. Thank you, Karen. Oh. Yeah, if I ignore him, he will literally bite my leg, and he fucking bites hard, man. He's a dink. Buddy. Now he's crying out there. Cats are weird. I like dogs, but I don't know. I love cats. I love Tigger. Tigger's my best friend in the whole world. All right. Last Lizzo story of the night. Last Lizzo story of the night, guys. And this one's a good one. Why? Tigger definitely doesn't want your whiskey. Yeah. Yeah. His body does not, like, he's just been like right up my ass for the last couple of days, Julie. You're absolutely right. And he's in pain, like, so he's like Bert right there. Yeah, I had to bring him, Janie, I had to bring him to the vets because he has a urinary stone. I love waking up. I love waking up to him because he'll sleep out on the couch. And then when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll look down at him and he'll be like right next to my feet. He'll look up at me and then crash back out. So, last Lizzo story of the night, and this one is the winter one. John Sumner, yeah, pale crawler. Now he's mad. He's scratching at his post out there. Yeah, he's on special food and meds, Janie. He's got his little, watch this. Hang on. Let me get this and show you. So I have to buy him. He's got like this little, like, it's like a little fucking jump. It looks like a jump. But I buy him these corrugated cardboard things. I have to buy him one a month. They're that thick. But look what he does to it in a month. 1 month, he puts holes through it. In a month, he does that. He's nuts. Here, buddy. Hang on. Daddy put it back there for you. Here you go. I'll give you treats after. Ugh. There's a good book. There's a good book for that question. I'm just gonna call your name. I'm gonna call you Wow Wow 190. And let me think of it. I'll think of it while I'm reading this on that question. That's a good question though, about the ETs, not your body, but your conscious. And I think they do. What's that lady's name? Karen Turner. Dr. Karen Turner. Dr. Karen Turner. Hang on. Dr. Karen Turner.
Here are the listings for Dr. Karen Turner near Savannah.
No, stop. Dr. Karen. Aliens. My books are downstairs, so I can't really. tell you right now. Fuck. Abduction. Abducted. What the fuck was it? I'll remember when I'm reading this, and I'll tell you the book's name. Hang on a second. I got it right here. Let me look through my books. Okay, here it is. Right here. Okay, the book. This one is Kathy O'Brien, Transformation of America is one of them to read. Wow. But then the other one is, where is it? What did I order that on? Filter 2025, apply. Okay, and genetic. Into the Fringe. Wow, Into the Fringe. It's Dr. Carla Turner. I was so wrong right there. Dr. Carla Turner. If you get that book, that literally answers the question that you asked. All right, last Lizzo story of the night. Here we go. Y'all ready for it? It was a chilly winter evening, and the truck stop was buzzing with activity. The neon signs of the diner and the convenience store cast a colorful glow over the parking lot, where rows of semi and RVs hummed softly. Lizzo, the queen of the lot lizards, truck stop prostitutes, stood outside her favorite haunt, a rundown diner called Eddie's Eats. She was tall, imposing figure with a wild mane of curly hair and a sharp tongue that could cut down even the toughest trucker. As she chatted with her friend Earl, a grizzled old mechanic, a strange object appeared in the sky. At first, they thought it was a plane or a helicopter, but as it drew closer, they realized it was a sleigh being pulled by 6 massive hellhounds. The hounds were unlike anything they had ever seen before. Their eyes glowed like ember, and their fur was black as coal. The sleigh landed with a thud, sending a cloud of dust and debris. Out stepped a figure who looked uncanny like Santa Claus, but with a twisted, evil grin spread across his face. He was dressed in a black suit with a fur-trimmed coat. His eyes gleamed with malevolence. Ho, 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 he cackled, his voice like thunder. I'm the Anti-Claus, and I have come to bring darkness and despair to this wretched truck stop. Lizzo, never one to back down from a fight, approached the evil Santa and slapped him right across the face. You're not welcome here, pal, she snarled. But as she turned to walk away, one of the hellhounds lunged forward, its jaws wide open. Lizzo tried to dodge, but the hound's teeth sank deep into her arm, and she let out a pained yelp. Earl, who had been watching the scene unfold, charged forward, his fists flying. Well, shit, let's kick evil Santa's ass and his elves and hellhounds, he bellowed. The battle that ensued was chaotic and intense. The anti-Santa Claus and his minions put up a fierce fight, but Lizzo, Earl, and the other truck stop regulars were not about to back down. They fought with everything they had, chairs, tables, and even a few well-placed punches. In the end, it was the Anti-Claus who stumbled backward, his eyes blazing with fury. You may have won this time, he snarled, but I will return, and next time you won't be so lucky. With that, he turned, climbing back into his sleigh, which took off into the night sky, leaving a cloud of black smoke and the sound of a maniacal laughter. As the dust settled, the truck stop regulars surveyed the damage. The diner was in shambles, the parking lot littered with debris, but they were all alive, and that was all that mattered. As they began to clean up the mess, a jolly old figure appeared in the sky, his sleigh pulled by reindeer, his suit bright, cheerful red. It was the real Santa Claus, and he looked like he had just arrived at the party. Lizzo, still nursing her wounded arm, looked up at him with a mixture of surprise and weariness. But Santa just winked at her and said, "Ho, ho, ho, my dear. I see you've had a bit of a rough evening. But don't worry, I'm here to bring some joy and cheer to the fine establishment." He tossed Lizzo 4 $100 bills, which caught her a grin. "Thanks, Santa," she said, tucking the bills into her brassiere. "We could use a little Christmas magic around here." Santa smiled and nodded, his eyes twinkling with merriment. Then he spotted Cherry, one of the other truck stop prostitute lot lizards, and his face lit up with delight. "Oh, my dear Cherry," he said, striding over to her. "You look like you could use a little Christmas joy. Why don't you come with me and we'll see if we can't find some holiday cheer?" Cherry, who had been watching the scene with a mixture of fascination and fear, nodded hesitantly. Santa took her hand, and together they walked toward the sleeping quarters in the back of the truck stop. Santa's hand resting on Sherry's ample buttocks. As they disappeared into the darkness, Lizzo turned to Earl and raised an eyebrow. "Well, I'll be damned," she said. "Looks like Santa's got a thing for the ladies." Earl chuckled and shook his head. "Yeah, it looks like he's got a thing for Cherry." Lizzo grinned, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. It had been a long, crazy night, but with Santa on the scene, she knew everything was going to be okay. As she watched Santa and Cherry disappear into the night, she heard Santa's voice, low and husky, saying, "It's going to be a good Christmas after all." Lizzo smiled, feeling a sense of hope and renewal. Maybe, just maybe, this Christmas would be one to remember. And as she turned to go back to work, she caught Santa's eye. He winked at her, his face creased in 1,000 wrinkles. That night was young, and the truck stop was still buzzing with activity, but with Santa on the scene, Lizzo knew it was going to be all right. After all, it was the most wonderful time of the year. He did give her a white Christmas, John. Who knew Cherry was into mayonnaise? All right, one last encounter. Thank you, Janie. SDL, thank you. About a couple of hours, conscious wanderer. Couple of hours. I'd say, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 at the most. Craigers, happy birthday to you, my friend. Happy birthday. Gotta have a Christmas Lizzo story. All right. Last encounter of the night, and this will be the encounter that ends live stream before Christmas. So I always felt like the wooded land my family lives on is haunted, and so does the rest of my family. Basically, my great-grandparents and grandparents each had a house. Kids of the latter ended up taking over the former. Someone lives on a camper, and people constantly come through. It's like a compound. And they're kind of old-fashioned rural poor people, so relatives are always crashing on the couch or needing to stay. And I saw a ghost when I was a kid, with most other members seeing something similar, but like traditional ghost stuff, someone looming in the room. This is East Texas, by the way. And I am still weary of thinking about skinwalkers and such, given their location seemingly in the West with different tribes that were here. East Texas has its own legends. This area is super creepy, as do the Cherokee that were here. But I am wondering if anyone had any advice on this regional aspects. Anyway, I moved away, and now my family members describe something much stranger and more overt, perhaps darker. We used to say that the ghosts were good spirits. My grandma saw what she described as an albino set of legs with a sort of deformed torso head combination. My uncle saw an elongated, super tall figure. My cousin saw something humanoid crawling on the barn outside her window. Everyone hears voices in the woods, children's voices, and what they say sounds like birds singing human songs, like "Here Comes the Bride" and "Happy Birthday." Even our neighbors, when asked, were like, "Yeah, we know there's something out in those woods." My grandmother also claimed she had seen a black hole pop up in a certain spot, and she sent me a picture where I can see it, what she thinks about it. But it's almost like glitchy in the pictures. My grandma also had claimed to be abducted by aliens years ago. She admits it could have been some kind of sleep paralysis, but she didn't have to go to the hospital for a heart attack. She did have to go to the hospital and a heart attack from it. Makes me curious about the lore of some interconnected quality between the two phenomenons. An interesting twist to this, my grandmother used to dig up pottery and arrowheads where the Native American camp used to be down in the woods. Then he had arrowheads where the Native American camp used to be down in the woods. Then he had alcoholism-induced schizophrenia, where he would hallucinate all kinds of stuff, including Native American, but I think it's because they're interested. Now, the latter clearly is medical reasoning, but I can't lie. Da, da, da. That's just the thing. Now, the latter clearly has medical reasonings. That has Big Dave Lynchman, who is dealing with a lot of grief over his illness. My mom herself is mentally unwell from a head injury, which is a whole other hallucination-laden story. I often found myself wondering if we had some kind of shining situation, if there was something specific about my family, whether he activated something with the digging, like it was hard not to sort an image this grander, which of course my much more country family totally believes, especially because I have only seen the childhood ghost and yet feel it in my gut. All of this, by the way, got much worse seemingly after my granddad died. Like the family really started seeing these things. And such a huge part of his hallucinations were concerned with protecting the house from these evil figures he would see. He also experimented with psychedelics and DMT when I was younger, which makes me lean a little bit more to, whoa, I just personally haven't seen anything as an adult except for the bad vibes in the house. Everyone, including me, knows the sensation of being watched on the plotland. Not to mention, my family has luck so bad that we call it a curse. And when my new wife or husband are introduced a few years, they're shocked to realize that we really do have a curse. Anyone who has any takes on this, does it sound believable or familiar? Or is my family just all crazy? They kind of are otherwise. Addiction, mental health. Shocked mental health. That fucking ends dumb. Addiction, mental health. That's it. Why does it end like that? A few years shocked, realize we really seem to have a curse too. Anyone got any takes on this? Does it sound believable or familiar, or is my family just all crazy because they kind of have of otherwise? Addiction, mental health. It's dumb. Pisses me off, and I'm tired now. Really made me mad. All right. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope that you guys all have a blessed day. I hope that you guys all hang out with your family. I really hope that everybody has just a good, safe Christmas and can just have a great time. I might keep an eye out of your notifications, because I might pop in on a live stream on Christmas. I don't know what time. I don't know when. But if I do, I might say, hey, I'm going to do a Christmas real quick and say hi to everybody and do a couple uploads or a couple of stories or whatever for you guys. Maybe do another Christmas Lizzo. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. But if I don't, Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for everything. You guys fucking make this really great. So I love y'all. Black-eyed elves. Oh, that's a good one, Stephanie. That's a good one. His elves are a little homoerotic, aren't they, Nexus? Homoerotic Santa elves. Ooh, with purple rubber donkey wieners. Yep. And always remember that it's Jesus' birthday, and we're lucky that he lets us get gifts instead of him. I've often wondered why we do that. Shouldn't we give Jesus a gift? How many people do you think don't realize it's Jesus' birthday on Christmas? I bet you some people do. Idiots. All right. Love you guys. Happy winter solstice. You're right. Wow. And don't let your meatloaf. See ya.